Louis Riddick will be with us. Come on out, Bart. It's a new day in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson was at OTAs Wednesday with his new contract, new offensive coordinator, new offensive weapons like 22nd overall pick Zay Flowers out of Boston College, and of course Odell Beckham Jr. Here's Lamar on the new look offense under new OC Todd Monken.
I mean, just being able to throw the ball down the field. You know, we sometimes we can't. Running can only take you so far, you know, and I feel like with this new era of teams and offenses in the league, I feel like we need that, and Coach Todd Monken, what I'm seeing his offense so far is looking tremendous.
All right, Bart Scott, how we doing? Hi, Lewis.
I don't recognize him. How are you? What's going on, man?
Why? He just has glasses on.
I recognize him by his sternum, not his face. What's going on?
Oh, my. His sternum?
Okay? Yeah, it's usually
what is wrong with you?
It's usually a 3-button minimum, man. What's going on, man?
Oh,
You're conservative today.
Oh, my God.
It's
the cerebral look.
Bart, this is why I hate you, Bart. This is why I hate you. But it's all good, though.
Lewis, just tell him you have range. Guys, let's dive into this, though, because obviously the Ravens really interesting here. And I'll start with you, Bart. Do you think Lamar... you heard me say all the new things, right? New offensive coordinator,
yes.
New offensive weapons. We saw the big payday. Do you think he's going to have his best season yet?
He better. I mean, because the expectations can't be higher. And when the Ravens have ever won Super Bowls, it's been because of the defense, not because of the offense. Now, you heard Lamar Jackson talking about how, you can't win by running the football. And, when you think about the previous regime under Greg Roman talking about having the most sophisticated running game in the league, that doesn't take you anywhere, because when you fall behind, you become one-dimensional. You don't have the ability or the practice to come back. They went on and got Lamar Jackson weapons. Now, I've said before, when they had Hollywood Brown, that, Lamar Jackson was the only franchise quarterback without a receiver, I believe, in the top 20. I think that changed. But it's still question marks there. When you think about Mark Andrews, we know he's going to show up, but how healthy is Odell Beckham, giving him $18 million? Can Bateman stay healthy, right? And Zay Jones is a prospect, and he has a lot of potential. But the pressure for Lamar to win now, because now that Lamar's got the cash, we see it happening in Buffalo. We see it happening in other places. When you pay the quarterback, you have to start cutting good players. Now, they're good because on the outside they have a Jabba who they got in a steal because he got injured. On the other side, Oweh. But those guys have to grab under Lamar Jackson to lead this team to the Super Bowl, something he promised when they took a chance on him in the first round.
Lewis?
Yeah, I think this entire thing is really, it's going to be a function of availability. It's going to be a function of durability. If Lamar can play 16-plus games, okay, and that's what, everyone will say, well, they only play 17, Lewis. Well, yeah, if he plays 16-plus, which he has not done, if Odell is healthy and can stay on the field, if Rashad is healthy and can stay on the field, if Zay Flowers can be everything that he was at Boston College, which he will be. I believe that he will be. This will be a function of, does he stay healthy for the entire 17-week season? This football team, without a doubt, offensively, will have the best year that it has had as far as throwing the football with efficiency and putting up passing yards per game and passing yards per play that it has ever had since Lamar took over as the regular starter. I have no question about that. When you look at what Todd Monken did with that offense in Georgia and how it was constructed, a 12 personnel heavy team, which is something that Baltimore's already set up for, a play action centric passing team, which is exactly what Baltimore is set up for because of how good they run the football. With getting their quarterback outside the pocket last year, that's exactly what Baltimore is set up for because of Lamar's mobility and their ability to strike down the field with great route concepts. They have the wide receivers who can run those route concepts, who are now interchangeable. Zay can move into the X, move into the slot. He can play the X. He can play the Z. Odell can play the slot. He can play the X. He can play the Z. And Rashad Bateman can do the same things. Mark Andrews is not a guy who you're just going to park him in there next to the tackle. You can move him. They have so much versatility. They have so much firepower now, more firepower than they've ever had since Lamar has been there, that if they all stay on the field, put in the work this offseason, and really immerse themselves into this offense, and then they were able to hit the ground running come September, I have no doubt this will be a top 10 passing offense in terms of yards per game and yards per play. They have the playmakers to do it. It's just, are they available? Do they stay on the field? Otherwise, I have no doubt.
But even with that, is it enough? Because you look at the gauntlet of the teams just within their division, going out to get Orlando Brown Jr., they've become a better team. And it's going to come down to Lamar Jackson. Can he play at an elite level? Can he play at the MVP level? Because I think that's going to be, for them to win that division, it's going to be tough. And you look at what happened with the Jets and with Aaron Rodgers. You look at Buffalo, knowing that window's closing out. We're going to find out a lot about Lamar Jackson, his ability to elevate his team.
Well, he was already an MVP, right? So we know he can play at an MVP level. And if Lewis is saying a top 10 offense, he'll be back in the MVP conversation. And I remember, that draft, his draft class was a great draft class as far as, that draft and watching players through their college years. And I remember at Louisville, he wanted to prove himself a pocket passer. Mm-hmm. And so they changed the offense to make sure he could prove himself a pocket passer at 60% efficiency, and he just showed you that I'm not just a runner. I can play the pro style.
Exactly.
So then he gets to Baltimore, and because of who he was and their lack of personnel, they made him a runner again. It was good enough to be an MVP. But this question of whether he can or cannot use weapons and take advantage of them, be that pocket presence, he certainly can. He's already proven it. He proved it before he got to the NFL. He can continue to be that. But Lewis said something that I think is going to be the biggest concern in Baltimore. If they can stay on the field. Odell, as we know, as great as he is when he's healthy, we don't know if he stays on the field. Bateman's already had injury issues, and even Lamar hasn't finished the last 2 seasons because of injuries. So that's the one thing you really got to watch the most, is that can they stay on the field? Can they stay together? Because if they can, there's no question whether or not Lamar Jackson can thrive in an offense that is more throwing than it is him running.
Alan, that's a fantastic point you brought up about his time at Louisville. When he came into the NFL and switched into the type of offense that Greg Roman put him in, because that was really personnel necessitated, it really flew in the face of really what he had shown in his Heisman Trophy winning year, and that being that he can really execute out of a 21 personnel, 12 personnel, 11 personnel type of offense with him under center, executing full field reads and throwing the football short, intermediate, deep with great decision making and accuracy. He showed he can do that. He got away from it because of how they constructed how the team was constructed around him in Baltimore, and now he's getting back to it. But the interesting thing about it is, see, now because he is such a dangerous run weapon, because they are a team that they know if they want to line up and pound the football at you, they can. That is just, Bart, you know this too. That is just going to open up the first and second down passing game in a way that maybe they have never seen since he has been there. And if Todd Monken is as good as everyone thinks he is and as good as I think he is based off of what he did with Stetson Bennett and Brock Bowers and those guys at Georgia, look, the sky's the limit for this offense, but as it always is in the NFL, it's always about availability. Mm-hmm. It always, and in Baltimore, we know that has been an issue for that team.
Yeah.
The availability of their players. We know it's been an issue.
Okay, here's what I want to get into. We know there's a boatload of pressure on him. We know everything's lining up in terms of having the contract, having the pieces, having the OC, et cetera. But he is 1-3 in the playoffs, Bart. Yeah. So how deep does he need to go, this team, to quiet the critics? Because they're still out there.
Oh, they're going to stay out there until he proves them wrong. And this is the issue, right? Lamar Jackson, now because he has the money, he has the personnel, they graduated a lot of leadership off the defensive side of the ball. So they're dependent on a bunch of young guys. Ajabu, right? 2nd year. You think about Oweh, 3rd year. Kyle Hamilton last year. He's only going into his 2nd year. They have Marlon. They got I forget the quarter, Humphrey on the outside. But now Lamar has to do something to prove something to us that he really hasn't had to prove. He has to be a leader of the team. Right, so now when you get this type of contract, you got to be able to inspire the defense on the other side too, because now those guys are trying to have to learn how to come up. So can Lamar do that? Can he inspire the defense like Joe Burrow inspired the defense in Cincinnati to believe that no matter what, our quarterback's going to be reliable, he's going to be durable, he's going to be a leader, he's going to inspire everybody. That's what I'm waiting to see about Lamar Jackson, because now he has to do that, and that's something he hasn't had to do before.
That's a great point. But before Alan jumps in here, I want something concrete, though. Like, what are we talking about in terms of how far he needs to go in the playoffs to quiet the critics?
Oh, man, he needs to be in there. He needs to be able to exercise
AFC
those
championship
things. He needs to be able,
what are we talking?
He needs to be able to beat Cincinnati. He needs to be able to finally find a way to beat Kansas City in a meaningful game. He needs to be able, the expectations is a Super Bowl. He has everything that he needs personnel-wise.
Right.
And they gave him the money. So it has to be that. He has to show up. He can't be one of these playoffs where he shows up and he turns the football over, or he can't get the offense is anemic. No matter what the circumstances is, he's going to have to find a way to get the W. And to do that, he's got to go against other great players. Can he be a star amongst stars now that everything is equal?
I'll answer the question.
Yeah.
They have to win the division. They have to get to the AFC Championship game. Like, it is time now, right? You've given him the weapons. Now, you have to see the health part, like Lewis said, and that's the part we have to see. Can they stay healthy? But if they do, that's as good as this team should be in that division where, yes, the Browns and Deshaun and obviously Cincinnati and Joe, like, it is not easy. And then, of course,
sleep on Pittsburgh.
Just playing, I was going to say, I know you know better than anybody. You played in that division.
Yeah.
That division is a gauntlet, but so is the AFC. Just look at all the teams that you're thinking about that you have to get through. Whoever gets out of the AFC is either going to be exhausted or relieved.
You don't want to become James Harden. You don't want to become James Harden, put up these gaudy stats,
very
and
good.
not find a way to win when he goes against other leaders. Can he be a leader amongst the leaders, right?
He's got to emerge. He's already won an MVP.
Those other guys are proven. Those other guys are already proven.
Wait a minute. He won an MVP. He's proven too.
No.
He has to get past all the other quarterbacks that we list now ahead of him. He's got an MVP on his trophy, but some of these other guys don't.
But they're more proven in the playoffs when it matters the most. Does he have that clutch gene to get his guy in a one-game situation to win the game?
Yeah, look, and you know what? And that's why I say this. I'll just disagree with you a little bit, Alan, on this part. That they don't have to win the division. They do need to get in the playoffs. They need to get one of those wild card spots. I don't think they're going to win the division, okay, because they're not beating Cincinnati. I don't believe. And I think Cincinnati really they upgraded their roster this year as far as, free agency and the draft. They upgraded their roster too. And they're right there. They're bad, maybe one penalty away from beating Kansas City in the AFC title game last year. But once he gets there, once they get to the playoffs, I'm with you, Bart. He has to duel with these other guys, with these other killers that are in the AFC as far as the quarterbacks are concerned. Whether that means meeting Joe Burrow again, whether that means dealing with Patrick again, whether that means dealing with Josh Allen, whether that means dealing with, Aaron Rodgers, and I'm going to say it, whether that means dealing with Tua, because you're going to deal with Tua, because Miami's going to win the AFC East. So, he's going to have to deal with all these guys. Hey, I couldn't agree with you more. Do not sleep on the South. Do not sleep on the AFC South. There are going to be some good football teams coming out of that division this year. I'm just telling you, they're going to be some good. They got good coaching now, and they got good quarterback play. So that division's on the rise. But it's about the playoffs for Lamar. And Molly, to answer he has to get to the AFC title game in order to shut people up. Because if he doesn't, they'll say, you've been to the divisional round already. Who cares? Get to that title game, and then let's see what happens.
AFC is tough because right now they have the 5th best odds, according to Vegas, to win the AFC. But we're declaring AFC championship appearance.